You're now listening to All Hogs Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
So Hogs playing in the Outback Bowl on Saturday ended up winning their first bowl game in 5 years. In the Outback Bowl, Arkansas representing Team Bloomin' Onion won 24-10. It was a really good day for Arkansas, especially on the ground. 361 yards of rushing for the Razorbacks. Leading rusher was Outback Bowl MVP KJ Jefferson. 20 attempts for Arkansas out of 58 total for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. He was averaging 5.5 yards per carry. KJ in the air also was 14 out of 19 with a 74% completion percentage, 90 yards and 1 interception. It is worth noting, though, that KJ Jefferson did not have his leading wide receiver all season, Treylon Burks. Burks opted out of the bowl game for his NFL career, which is a decision that I think all Razorback fans respect and understand, because Burks will have a very long and successful career in the league. Now, Arkansas scored 17 points in the third quarter. In the first half of the game, Arkansas's offense was kind of stagnant. They were, really trying out some, I think, new packages, including a double reverse to Warren Thompson. And this was kind of like one of the main talking points of the game. Like every game Arkansas plays, there's always those points where, a lot of fans, disagree with decisions and things like that. And a lot of fans didn't like this. If you go watch the tape on this play, it's an all right play call. I mean, Arkansas had the dude wide open on the play call. The issue was Warren Thompson just took too long to develop it. And again, if you can't, call this play and trust your passer, Thompson here, to get the play out, it's still a bad, play call. And any play with interception can also be titled that at sometimes, depending on the circumstances. It wasn't that bad, if it would have developed fine, sure. This situation was weird, though. I don't mind, double reverse passes at times. But it seems like Arkansas has just ran them so much this year, and they haven't been successful. Whenever Arkansas kind of needs to understand the situation and go out there and score to win, Arkansas did that. If you look at their scoring drives, Raheem Sanders 3-yard rush, Raheem Sanders 1-yard rush, KJ Jefferson 8-yard rush. Those scoring drives where Arkansas ended up putting touchdowns on the board were mainly on the ground. Arkansas was just constantly running the ball at Penn State to successfully end up scoring points, and it worked. Now, first, going into the Arkansas rushing game here, 58 attempts on the ground. I predicted 30 to 40. I did not expect Arkansas to run this many times. It makes sense, though. If you're getting 6.2 yards per carry, there's really no reason to stop. Behind KJ Jefferson with the 110 was Dominique Johnson, 11 attempts for 85 yards. That's a whopping 7.7 average yards per carry. He's been kind of hovering around the 7 mark this season on his total. DJ is your starting running back next year unless something, really changes or injuries or something like that. Johnson, the former player in training camp who I tabbed as the 4th running back, and he even moved to tight end for a day for looking for depth because he just wasn't performing better than the other guys. So he did move to tight end, moved back, and that kind of lit a fire under him. Dominique Johnson is an incredible running back, though. He kind of runs, just kind of at defenses and isn't afraid to take hits, which is why he's been kind of dealing with a little bit of injuries here and there. But Arkansas's running back room runs deep. Behind him is Rocket Sanders. He had 2 touchdowns in his native state of Florida, 13 attempts for 79 yards for him. We even got to see a little bit of Malik Hornsby, quarterback, 4 attempts for 67 yards. He was running some, trick plays and end around. And we've all seen Malik's speed. Malik Hornsby, develop an arm in a passing game to suit this offense. So it's, two-sided. Kendall Bros will develop him during the offseason and such, but I think it's something to watch, because you have a guy like KJ. KJ's tough, but, in a game of football, anytime, some guy can get injured. Arkansas's third-string quarterback, Cade Renfro, He tore his ACL during the bowl practice, so he's out. So it's really Malik and then, a lot of other guys who are inexperienced. So I think it's important for Malik to develop this all season. But the speed is there. I mean, this guy is lightning quick. Lightning quick as well as A.J. Green. 4 attempts for 26 yards. And then at the end was Traylon Smith, the running back. He had 2 carries for 6 yards. After the game on Instagram, Traylon Smith announced that he's moving on from the program. This was his final year with the Razorbacks. Transfer from Arizona State. Got here in 2019, set out. And then last season, he actually won the starting running back job by the end of the season over Rakeem Boyd. This season, started off as a starter. And then throughout the season, he kind of lost a lot of reps to, Sanders, Johnson, and such. But, I thank him for his time here. Anytime, a Hog graduates, I wish him, this is a move that makes sense, for both parties, with Arkansas having a lot of running backs returning, young guys who aren't eligible for the draft yet. And then Smith, looking to make a name for himself. It's unclear if he's transferring, going professional. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, best of luck to Smith. So yeah, Arkansas rushing game was really good. This is a huge part due to that offensive line. Only guy who, this is the last game, is Myron Cunningham, the left tackle. So Arkansas will have their center back and every other guy besides that left tackle. Be interesting to see who can get that left tackle additionally. Now, the Arkansas passing game was pretty interesting. 3 receivers getting 3 catches. De'Vion Warren, 3 catches for 33 yards. Tyson Morris, 3 catches for 24 yards. Both of those guys are seniors, and this was their last game. And then an interesting one getting 3 catches was Bryce Stevens, a freshman receiver. In high school, he was fantastic. He had one play that went viral all over social media, one-handed catch. He's got some really nice hands. He's been featured in kick returning, punt returning for Arkansas here and there for his hands. Arkansas seemed to have some designed screens and stuff for him. 3 targets, 3 catches. So there were a lot of quick slants, quick screens, and things like that. I do predict him to start next year. I think based off of, how they were getting reps for bowl practice for him and everything like that. I liked what I saw from him, and he ran those routes well, even though he only had 5 yards, but that's just kind of the play design. Trey Knox, switching over to tight end, had 2 catches for 11 yards. Warren Thompson, 1 catch for 12 yards. I think he has a really good chance next year to be the wide receiver 1 with Jaden Hasselwood, the transfer from Oklahoma. And then Blake Kern, tight end. This was his final game as well. He had 1 catch for 8 yards, and then Dominique Johnson, I think he had a screen dump off that was minus 3 yards. Overall, the passing game numbers kind of look ugly, but, when you're running the ball 58 times for 6.2 yards per carry, it does not matter. Arkansas offense looked really fine. I'm not worried about the passing game here. 19 attempts when you're running the ball that much really doesn't worry me that much at all. Arkansas's offense, though, looked pretty good besides, the first half when it was kind of stagnant. But scoring 17 in the third was awesome. Kendall Browse had some great halftime adjustments, and he kind of came out knowing what the team needed to do to end up winning and took care of business. From all the games I've seen from the Arkansas defense, I honestly think this is one of the best. Outside of one of passing play that just got blown up and Lambert Smith got open wide deep, the secondary honestly looked really good, and we've seen that secondary get lit up at times this season. Joe Fouché looked incredible. He had 6 total tackles and an interception. Greg Brooks Jr. had 3 tackles and an interception. Arkansas getting 2 picks on the day was huge. Only 1 sack from Joe Fouché, but again, Arkansas missing Trey Williams kind of attributed to that. Sean Clifford, the Penn State quarterback, had 32 attempts, only 14 completions though. Arkansas held them to a 44% completion rate, which was really good. He had 195 yards, 1 touchdown. That averages to 6 yards per attempt. Arkansas did have some problems, with receivers like Parker Washington and Lambert Smith, but those would be some of the top in really any conference. Parker Washington had 7 catches for 98 yards. Lambert Smith had 3 for 74, but he had a super long touchdown, 42-yarder, and then Washington had a long one as well. Arkansas in the secondary, though, Miles Slusher had 5 total tackles. Hudson Clark had 3. Simeon Blair had 2. Monteric Brown had 1. After the game, Monteric Brown has entered the NFL draft, he announced. This is a move that totally makes sense. I've been a huge fan of Monteric Brown in his game. I've always thought he was underrated, but this season he really got to the ball a lot more, which was huge for him. First team All-SEC player. That's really hard to beat for any corner. I mean, first team All-SEC, the best conference in college football. You're one of the best corners in the nation at that point. Second most interceptions in all of D1 college football. He was incredible this season for Arkansas, and I think Arkansas will hurt at corner. They have options. They could move Miles Slusher to corner, or they could keep him at the safety spot and replace him with Blair if Blair ends up I think Blair's graduating and moving on. Not really too sure on that. But in this game at corner for next year, you saw Hudson Clark, and he looked good. In this game, though, we saw Hudson Clark, and he honestly looked pretty good. He wasn't really seeing the ball get thrown his way that much. He wasn't getting picked on. Ladarius Bishop, I didn't see him, getting burnt at all. Those two guys look really good at corner, and they're probably the top 2 guys I would say to start at left and right corner, unless some transfers come in. Some other guys to watch out for, though, Malik Chavis, Kari Johnson. There's a number of guys that I think Arkansas could go to, but I was impressed with the defensive backs in this one. Fouché, we still await a decision on him, but if Fouché goes, I think Slusher ends up playing in his safety spot, and then Jalen Catalan. But even if Fouché stays, I think they'll keep Slusher at safety, just because he played pretty well this season after Catalan. And Arkansas runs a lot of 3-2-6 fronts, so you can run, 2 corners, 2 safeties, nickelback, and then you can option out that safety for another time. Something that I tweeted out on the game was, when was the last time Arkansas had a linebacker core as good as they had this season? I think we're truly not grateful enough for the linebacker core that Arkansas has. Hayden Henry, 100-plus tackles on the season. Grant Morgan, 100-plus tackles on the season. Bumper Pool, 120-plus tackles on the season. Arkansas had 3 guys over 100 tackles in a single season. And just these guys, number one, they got their tackling rates up this year, was huge on the linebacker core. That was something I stressed for all offseason, and they accomplished that extremely well. Additionally, this Arkansas defense is good in pass coverage too. They had guys dropping back all season. By having Hunter Henry step up in that role was huge because Arkansas could rotate linebackers in the 3-2-6 front. I thought it was awesome too that Odom got some 3-3-5 plays in there, so all 3 of those guys could play together. We also awaited a decision for Bumper Pool. He had 5 total tackles with 4 solo tackles in this one. Arkansas did a good job of, wrapping guys up on single tackles. The first half was kind of rough, but Arkansas had 45 total tackles and 33 of those being single ones. Arkansas, though, allowed on the rushing game 4.5 average yards per carry, which is about an average number there. Looking at some other stuff around here, Arkansas had 6 total penalties accepted for 60 yards. Pretty good day. Arkansas ended up with I think, personal foul for one of them. The other ones were just 5-yard penalties. Arkansas playing a lot better disciplined. Was good to see. Arkansas had 25 first downs in this one. They kept moving the change. Lots of 4th down play calls. 3-3 on those ones. Overall, though, my thoughts on this game were, yes, Arkansas did start slow. 7-0 was the start, and then Penn State put up 10 in the second to take a 10-7 lead. And Arkansas kind of got everything situated and scored 17 in the third quarter to take the game. I do think Arkansas played really fantastic in this game, especially the second half. Credit to all the coaches for getting the plays, situated, and especially in the second half, adjustments were huge in this one. The offensive line for Arkansas was huge, though. I mean, you cannot beat 0 sacks given up and 6.2 average yards per carry. Dominique Johnson was 7.7. Cannot wait to see him next year. Something I was thinking about when Arkansas was taking the stage for the Outback Bowl, trophy ceremony. The last few seasons have been rough.